used to have a really awesome car. It was a 2005 Toyota Corolla, and it was my first car, and I loved it so much, and had a lot of crazy adventures in that car. It's actually, the car was part of the very beginning of this band, because Rebecca and I started it as just a duo, and we graduated from college, we went to Indiana University, and then we got in my car, my 2005 Toyota Corolla, and we drove from Indiana to California, and along the way we just busked the whole time. We're just playing on the street, and people gave us money for gas and food, and we camped and had just a wonderful time. And we also went to the Telluride Bluegrass Festival along the way, and while doing so, we had this GPS who was not close to my heart, who told us to take state road, what was it?
County Route 8.
County Route 8. Beware of County Route 8, because we ended up on this insane mountain pass. We couldn't turn around, and we could barely move forward because it wasn't even a road. It was just like this rocky mountain, and directly to the side was like a 3,000-foot drop.
There was barely enough room for the car.
And I mean, it was like bucking along, and there were, it was the time of year that the ice was just melting, and so there were like waterfalls over the mountain that we had to drive through. It was totally crazy.
There were little waterfalls, but it was still pretty scary. Like, we would actually step out of the car to make sure that we didn't get swept away, so that the car wouldn't get swept away.
Yeah. Anyways, we made it through, and we got down to the bottom, and we got to Telluride, and we just told some guy, like, hey, yeah, we just came over the Ofu Pass, which is what it's called. And he kind of looked at us like we were crazy, and he goes, in that? And we said, yeah, you know, I mean, what can I say? It's a 2005 Toyota Corolla. And by the way, I'm not being paid by Toyota. But anyways, this car, we got to California, and instead of going home, we shipped the car to Hawaii on a boat. And then we moved to Hawaii and spent a year there playing music, and then moved to Nashville after that. And about a little over a year ago now, this wonderful car of mine had her story end at the hands of our most capable sound man, my husband. And it was in Bowling Green, Kentucky, of all places. So anyways, I loved that car so much that we thought we had to write an ode to the car. So this is called Tough as Nails, Love Song for a Toyota Corolla.
Poor girl.
She was born across the ocean, like many of her kind. Came to this land in pieces from the assembly line. Sent to a sales launch deep in the Midwest. gas tanks failed. Took us through the mountains where the Hummers dare not drive. If it wasn't for that little car, we may not have survived. Couldn't tell by looking at her, she was tough as nails. Kept on chugging with the gas light on where bigger gas tanks failed. Took us through the mountains where the Hummers dare not drive. If it wasn't for that little car, we may not have survived. Thank you. All right, that song is also on our brand new album.
So has Toyota called you yet?
I wish. So yeah, the new album is called Dead Man's Hand, and we're so excited about it. This next song is from our last album. This is called Last Honest Man. So, you never made it to Paris. You ain't even left the state. When you think of all you wanted, you're embarrassed. 'Cause the time, it seems too late. And your souls are getting thin. On the road you just can't see. But if you keep on and don't give in, you can be the last honest man of Tennessee. So, none of the men you knew were honest, and none of the girls were kind. The road you walk alone is the longest, 'cause you never walk on mine. And your hopes are getting thin. Of all you thought you'd be. But if you keep on and don't give in, you can be the last honest man in Tennessee. I won't go if you don't let me stay. Never worried much about Paris anyway. You can travel wide, never travel full. Not be trapped inside all that you think you are. So there are rich men in the city. There are men who've studied all. There are those who see the world with warmth and pity. There are men who never fall. But there's a man with pockets thin, who's never promised what he can't keep. If you keep on and don't give in, you can be the last honest man of Tennessee. You can be the last honest man of Tennessee. Thank you. Anybody out there know who Stan Rogers is? All right. Awesome. Well, Stan Rogers was an amazing Canadian folk singer and one of my favorite musicians of all time. I grew up in Northern Canada, and so, Northern Ontario, so Southern Canada, I guess. but but Stan Rogers was one of the musicians that I listened to all the time growing up, and my parents had, you know, his whole collection, and so definitely one of my big musical heroes. And this is a cover of his song Guysborough Train, and it's also available on our new album. No train to Guysborough, or so the man said, so it might be a good place to be. I sit in this station and I count up my change, and I wait for the Guysborough train. Sat in your kitchens, talked about war.